Hey y'all, so this is the tutorial for how I do my GarageBand covers. I use GarageBand for mobile. I don't know if it's different on any other kind of device, but I'd imagine it's similar enough that you can take this and apply it to your own projects. But I've already opened up a song and I've selected bass as my first instrument because that's the first instrument that I'm going to record for this one, using the first Love Late Spring example because that's the video that I have up right now. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just looking up the tempo and key for the song. I'm going to look at TuneBat. TuneBat's a pretty good website for this. So TuneBat says 100 BPM and in key of C major. So what you do is you go to song settings and then you set the tempo to what you want. I want 100. And then it's already in C major, so cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up First Love Late Spring in Spotify so that I can listen to the beginning of the song. What I would normally do, though, is I would record myself singing the vocals first the whole way through, even if it's not good the first time, just because I can sort of get like a visual picture of what the song looks like, and I can kind of use that as like markers for stuff. But anyway, so listen to the first 4 bars of that song, and then I'm going to find the notes and just, try to replicate it. So you'll notice that kind of like the inflections on it and the notes aren't exactly the way that they should to sound like the song. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the thing I just recorded and edit the notes so that they're the correct duration, correct timing, all that stuff. And then what I realized would be easier to do here is I'm going to use the quantization thing so that it kind of makes the timing of my notes correct, so I don't have to go through and edit the timing of every single note. So playing it back, you hear that all the notes are laid out correctly, so that's cool, that's good, that worked out. So now I'm going to go in and edit the duration of the notes. It'd probably be easiest to just do like one of those sections, like make the notes the way you want them to, and then copy and paste, those for each one instead of editing every single one. But, you'll mess with it and find what works for you. So that sounds pretty good. But also what I'm going to do first is I'm going to extend these last notes a little bit just to see what that sounds like. And I like the way that sounds a lot better. So I'm just going to go through and change all the notes to kind of match that last grouping. And like I said, it'd be easier to just edit these and then copy and paste, but that's not what I did here, so whatever. So playing it back, it sounds pretty good. Sounds like how I want it to sound. So then we move on to the next part. And I'll do the next couple of bars of bass just to kind of show you that process a little bit more. And then I'll kind of move on to show you, I think I do drums and then a couple of the organ chords when they come in. That bit that I just played kind of repeats, so I'm going to try to replicate that pattern of notes so I can record it and then copy and paste it because it repeats a couple of times. but based on what I could remember, that sounds pretty close. So I'm going to record that and kind of go through the same process. Those notes are already quantized because I changed that in the track settings, so I don't have to worry about the timing as much, more just like how long the notes are. So since I already know how the notes should be, I'm just going to go through and fix all of them. And I mean, I'm sure there's a faster way to do this besides copying and pasting, but I'm not a GarageBand connoisseur and I don't know much about audio engineering, so that note was wrong, so I'm just fixing the note. That button in the top left corner is like the edit button, so you can just tap on the screen to either add or remove notes. It's pretty handy. And those last two notes were wrong, so I'm going to play it and be like, oh, how is this supposed to be? So they're late. So I'm going to move them back to where they're supposed to be. Cool. So now that sounds pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the song back up on GarageBand, or Spotify, sorry, and then I'm going to play them at the same time so that I can make sure that the notes are correct, because if you play them on top of each other, you can kind of hear where they're clashing and then fix whatever's clashing. And I'm going to start from the second bar because it's easiest to, you know. Last two notes that I have recorded were clashing with the original song. So I listened to it again, realized it was the wrong note, so I'm going to go back in and just fix those two notes, make them correct, and then I will move on to drums. It a couple times because that group of notes kind of just repeats a couple of times. And I'm also going to extend this area that we're working on, so you can work in separate sections in GarageBand. So you can have one section that's like the first verse, you can make the second section chorus, but I tend to just like to work in one giant section for the whole song because I like to kind of see it all laid out at the same time. The night of the window where you. And the only reason I go this hard on my covers is because I'm a massive perfectionist and I really like to make the song as closely as possible for my own satisfaction, just because it feels good to play the two songs on top of each other and be like, wow, they sound very similar. Yeah, so now I'm going to go to drums. You might hear some noise because I'm about to plug in my laptop. So I'm pretty sure that's what the drum sounds like, but I'm going to go back in and listen to it. And obviously my timing isn't perfect, so I'm going to use the quantization function again to make sure that timing is good. So that sounds pretty good. And then one of the things you can do is you can go through and pick different kinds of drum kits, and you can do this for any instrument, just to see whatever sounds the closest or whatever you think sounds the best. So I wasn't really going too hard on this. I was just kind of showing that you can change the sound that way. So I'm going to skip to the next part that throws in another instrument because I don't want to take up all the time just doing this whole intro. But the next major instrument that comes in is the organ. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to find an organ in the synth section. So we've got a classic rock organ. Perfect, beautiful. So now I'm just kind of messing around to see which chords are the closest, see if I can guess. Because sometimes you can play chords and you're like, oh, this sounds exactly right. And then it's fine. But I'm going to go back in and listen to it. But what I'm going to end up doing is just opening up Spotify app and having it show what the chords are, because I don't feel like taking the time to figure all of it out by ear. So there's Chordify. You can just type in the song. There she is. Select piano, because that's kind of what we're looking for. Show me the chords. And then I'm going to find the spot in the song where the chords come in. Like our chord pattern right now is C, E, F, G, and that's cool because we've got C and F and G. We just don't have an E, but we have an E minor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record it using E minor instead of E, but I want it to sound correct. So I'm going to go in and change the notes to turn that E minor into an E using that same edit function from earlier. And I don't know the notes for an E major chord, so I am going to look it up. I'm going to stare at this picture, and it was morning when I was recording this, and I was like, my brain can't notes right now. So I selected a different picture that shows what the notes were called. I know what the notes are on a piano, just my brain was not computing at that moment. There it is. Okay, so we got an E, we've got a G sharp, and whatever that was, D. So I know that that third chord is the E minor chord, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to adjust. Oh, it was the second chord, JK. So I'm just going to fix the notes, make them be what they need to be. So it was that middle one that needed to be adjusted, but since it was close, the other two were already fine. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So now I'm just going through and fixing all the notes. I could have also used quantization for this. I don't know why I didn't. I just wanted to fix the timing of the notes. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing, play them on top of each other. I know it's right, I just like to listen to it. And that sounded pretty good. I don't remember what else I did. What did I do? Oh yeah, so here I'm just showing that you can also use the track controls to adjust treble and bass and echo and reverb and all of that stuff. Compressor, because I'm not an audio engineer, I don't know what the compressor does. Treble, bass, obviously, treble they just edit those things. And I don't really get too into the details of the master effects, because I don't really know what they do. I just kind of like will edit stuff and listen to how it sounds and change it if it's good or bad or whatever. But yeah, that's the whole thing. So you basically are just going to follow that process to whatever detail you desire for the whole song. And you can also adjust the volume outputs of each of the instruments on the side. So if for the whole song one of the instruments is a lot louder than another one, you can adjust that output, just make it be louder. And also another thing you can do is when you have a section of recorded song, you can tap on it and you can do I forget what it's called, but there's a thing that pops up and it's settings. I think it's just settings, and you can adjust the velocity of it. I don't know what velocity means in terms of audio engineering terms, but I do know that increasing the velocity makes that bit louder. And then, you can make it louder or softer. And to me, that's really useful if in a lot of songs, there will be the verses are really quiet, but then the chorus is really loud. So what you can do is you can highlight everything that's in the chorus and turn up the velocity to make it louder than the same sounds are in other parts of the song. So that's it. I hope that's helpful. If you have any more questions, you can leave a comment. But otherwise, I hope it works for you. Good luck.